Backtracking can feel like wasted time, or the best part of a game. So which Metroidvanias actually respect your time, and which ones just trap you in loops? Let's find out. Going full 2D Metroidvania? Yeah, that was the right call, because everything here is tight. Movement is fast, precise and extremely responsive. You are not just moving through the world, you are flowing through it. Exploration is built around a maze-like structure. You unlock abilities, open new paths and yes, you backtrack a lot. It rarely feels pointless. Each area adds something new. New mechanics, new traps, new ideas. So even when you return to old places, you see them differently. Combat is where things really step up. Early on it feels simple, almost too simple. Then it opens up. Combos get deeper, timing matters, positioning matters. You stop reacting and start planning. Boss fights push that even further. This is not button mashing. You adapt or you lose. And that balance between platforming and combat, it works really well. Still, the combat is not perfect. The story is there, but it rarely matters. Characters are hard to care about, and Sargon himself feels a bit too neutral. You will probably skip some cutscenes, honestly, you won't miss much. Side content also feels uneven. Some challenges are fun, others feel like extra work for rewards you don't really need. 20 minutes of platforming for nothing useful? Yeah, that's a very optional content kind of motivation. At full price, that matters. And despite all that, the core experience is strong enough to carry everything else. The game runs smoothly, almost no technical issues. And while art style looks simple at first, the world design is surprisingly detailed and varied. If you like Metroidvanias, this is an easy recommendation. If you don't, this won't convert you. Core experience 7.6, time value 7.4, price 30, WIG 8.5. For fans of tight gameplay, this is absolutely worth your time, even if the story does nothing for you. If you care about game value, that's exactly what we break down here. If that's your thing, subscribe. So that's a game where backtracking actually works, but what happens when the experience is built more on emotion than challenge? You don't really start this game with mechanics, you start it with a feeling, and for a moment it almost convinces you this is something truly special. The first hours are all about movement. You jump, glide, dash, and everything just flows. Not fast in an aggressive way, more like effortless, like the game is carrying you forward. Then the story quietly steps in. No long dialogue, no heavy exposition, just small moments, music and animation. Joy, then loss, then tension. Suddenly you are not just exploring, you are chasing something that actually matters. Now, what's interesting is how familiar that all feels at first. Same perspective, same structure, same idea, but then the game starts adding layers. Instead of a fixed progression, you shaped your own build. More mobility, more damage, more ways to stay alive. But you can't have everything at once, so every choice matters, even small ones. Some abilities become essential for your style, others feel situational, but still valuable. The world also feels more alive this time. You meet characters, you get small side objectives, you discover things that weren't there before. Nothing too complex, but enough to make the journey feel more personal. Like you belong here, not just pass through. But this comes with a trade-off. The pacing is slower. Side content can pull you away from the main path, and the map is more complex than before, which means it's easier to get lost. Sometimes that feels great, sometimes it just feels like wasted time. The game doesn't always help you find your way back, so if you prefer a more focused experience, this might frustrate you. But when it all comes together, it's hard to match this feeling. Movement stays smooth, combat is more expanded, more dynamic, and the overall flow, when the game gets out of its own way, is excellent. Even the difficulty feels more balanced this time. Escape sequences are still here, but less punishing. You don't have to memorize every second anymore, which makes the game more accessible, but slightly less intense. This is not a big renovation, it's a refinement. Less surprising than the first game, but more complete. And despite some pacing issues, this is one of the strongest emotional experiences in this genre. Core experience 9.2, time value 9.6, price 30, WIG 10. If you want flow, atmosphere and strong value, this is a must play, even if the pacing slows things down at times. But not every game hooks you instantly, some take time and risk losing you before they get good. This one doesn't grab you instantly. At first it feels distant, almost disconnected. You are thrown into a world full of strange terms, fragmented memories and a story that doesn't fully make sense yet. You play as Lilac, a girl with no memory, in a world slowly collapsing under a mysterious mist. Even artificial beings have gone mad. So the setup is interesting, but it takes time to land. What pulls you in much faster is the gameplay, because this is where the game starts building depth. Instead of traditional weapons, you fight using summoned companions. Each one changes how you attack. Some are fast and aggressive, others are slower, heavier, more strategic. And very quickly it stops being about what you unlock, it's about how you combine it. You begin to experiment, mix abilities, adjust your setup, find what actually works for you. Then gear comes in and suddenly survival changes. Healing over time, emergency recovery before death, small effects with big impact. You are not just getting stronger, you are shaping your safety, your rhythm, your approach. And all of this plays smoothly. Combat is responsive, movement stays consistent. The map keeps rewarding you with shortcuts and secrets. Progress feels earned. Visually, the game also stands out. Hand-drawn environments, soft lighting, and a constant sense of quiet tension. It feels like a dark fairy tale, calm in safe areas, unsettling everywhere else. But here is where the game takes a risk. That slow start with the story, it lasts longer than it should. For a while you are moving forward without really understanding why. That disconnect can push some players away, especially early on. Spending your first hours slightly confused is not the strongest opening. But if you stick with it, everything starts to come together. The systems click, the progression makes sense, the experience becomes much more satisfying. This is not the easiest game to get into, but it rewards patience. If you enjoy experimenting with builds, adapting your playstyle and slowly mastering layered systems. And yeah, this one surprised me more than expected. Core experience 8.6, time value 8.8, price 25, WIG 9.7. If you give it time, this is easily worth it, especially for players who enjoy deeper combat systems. But what if a game evolves but never fully fixes its biggest problems? This game doesn't welcome you, it judges you first. From the very beginning, everything feels heavier. Movement is slower, combat is deliberate, and every mistake costs you. But at the same time, it feels more controlled than before, more precise, more responsive. So when you fail, it usually feels like your fault. This is no longer just about surviving fights. Early on, you choose a weapon, fast and risky, slow and powerful, or something in between. For a while it feels like a simple choice. Later it defines how you approach the entire game, because combat is only part of the experience now. Exploration plays a much bigger role. You are not just moving forward, you are figuring things out, unlocking paths, revisiting areas, connecting pieces of the world together. And sometimes your weapon choice even affects how you interact with the world. The game starts to feel less like a brutal platformer and more like a full Metroidvania. More open, layered and more flexible in how you progress. The atmosphere also remains a huge part of the experience. It's still dark, disturbing, deeply stylized, religious imaginary twisted into something uncomfortable, and the music keeps the quiet tension in the background almost all the time. But not everything evolves at the same level. Regular enemies start to repeat, same patterns, same behaviors, just slightly stronger versions. Some sections lock you into small arenas with waves of enemies. At the start, it adds pressure. Later, it starts to feel predictable. This is where the game loses some of its impact. Boss fights stay strong, demanding, memorable, but smaller encounters, they don't always keep up. Not because they are bad, but because you have already seen too much of them. Still, the core experience holds. Combat is demanding but fair. Exploration is deeper than before, and the overall design feels more confident. This is not a dramatic reinvention, but it's a clear step forward. More system, more freedom, and noticeably more depth, even if some repetition holds it back. Core experience 8.2, time value 7.4, price 35, WIG 8.8. Worth it for players who want challenge and atmosphere, but not if repetition kills your interest. And finally, the game that doesn't care if you are having fun, it just wants to test you. Metroid Dread will annoy you, punish you, and make you feel completely lost. And somehow, that's exactly why it works. You play as Samus Aran, trapped on planet ZDR. You explore, unlock abilities, open new pets. Yep, this is classic Metroid, but sharpened to a brutal level. Movement is where it all clicks. Fast, precise, instant. Everything responds immediately, and the game never lets you relax. The map is dense, layered, full of locked paths. There is always something just out of reach. A door, a shortcut, a hidden upgrade. And when you finally figure it out, that moment hits hard. Boss fights push that even further. You don't win by accident. You learn, adapt, improve. Every attempt gets you closer, and when you finally win, it feels earned. But here is the real twist, the MMI zones. This is where the game either wins you or completely loses you. You are not the hunter anymore, you are being hunted. All you can do is run and panic. Even later, when you get stronger, those sections still feel dangerous. That constant pressure defines the whole game, but it comes at a cost, because Metroid Dread loves making you feel lost. Even with a good map, you can wander for a long time. You know the answer is nearby, you just can't find it. And that frustration is real. Bosses will kill you. MMI will kill you. The map will confuse you. This is not a game that respects your mood. It respects your patience. But here is the important part. It really feels unfair. You are tested, not cheated. And that makes all the difference. If you enjoy challenge, precision and pressure, this is fantastic. If getting lost and repeating sections sounds exhausting, this will break you. Core experience 7.5, time value 7.1, price 60, WIG 7.3. Only worth it if you enjoy getting lost and pushed hard, otherwise this will feel exhausting. So is backtracking wasted time or smart design? That depends on the game and how much patience you bring with you. And if you want more value breakdowns like this, there is more WIG waiting for you.